Can this Mayster PLLA boosting product be a great dupe for Sculptra? Ready to do our first session of the PLLA Mayster booster.
Oh yeah.
It's been 1 year since I had 4 vials of Sculptra placed all over my face. So what do I think 1 year out? Was it worth the $4,000 price tag? And why am I placing Mayster PLLA in my face today inside my app? So before we dive into what my experience was last year with Sculptra and what I plan to do today in my app with Mayster, let's go over really quick what is PLLA, Sculptra, and Mayster. And if you guys want this in written form, it's on my blog, so you can just head down to the description and click the link and go read it all with pictures. Also, before we go any further, let's do the disclaimer. My videos are created with adult women in mind. My videos are not for children. I mark my content as 18 plus. This video is for educational purposes only. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, co-news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. This channel does not promote or encourage any illegal activities. All contents provided by this channel are meant for educational purposes in the effort to help other women. Unfortunately, it has become obvious to me that there is an attack on real information that helps real women. This gross censorship is appalling and abusive. Help me combat this attack on useful, true information by sharing this video with your friends and on your socials. As always, thank you for your help. So what is PLLA? PLLA is poly-l-lactic acid and a biodegradable bioplastic used to formulate dermal injectables. PLLA is derived from PLA. PLA is a polyester bioplastic made from fermented plant starches such as corn, cassava, maize, sugarcane, and sugar beet pulp. The sugar in these renewable materials is fermented and turned into lactic acid, which is then made into poly-lactic acid, or PLA. What is Sculptra? Sculptra is an FDA-approved aesthetic injectable that uses PLLA to stimulate collagen in your skin. This is not the same as cross-linked hyaluronic acid filler. Instead, it utilizes the PLLA particles over the span of 24 months to grow natural collagen. What is Mayster PLLA Booster? Is a product from Korea that is not FDA-approved, which is why you won't find it in US aesthetic offices. Mayster appears to have the same advantages of collagen stimulation as Sculptra, but with fewer risks of vascular occlusion or granuloma since its particle weight is less. So a lot of this stuff can be confusing, and when you go back and forth on websites trying to understand what these products are and how they vary, it is kind of a loss in translation. But I think what I've done and what I've gotten to will be helpful. So this is how I have basically laid out why Sculptra and Mayster are different, while at the same time encouraging the same stimulation in collagen. One thing to understand is that the product PLA, poly-lactic acid, is turned into multiple derivatives of that concept. One of them being PLLA, which is poly-l-lactic acid. And when we look at the molecular weights for these items, the basic PLA has a size of 5.4 to 20 microns. When PLA is modified into PLLA for Sculptra, for instance, it has a size of 40 to 63 microns. Mayster has a size of 10 to 40 microns. This weight places Mayster between PLA and PLLA. So because Mayster seems to fall in between the weight of Sculptra and the beginning of PLA, I believe this is what makes Mayster, number one, easier to use at home. You don't need a cannula to do it because you don't need to be concerned about vascular occlusion because its weight is 1/4 the size of Sculptra's PLLA weight. It also means that you don't need to do the 5-5-5 massage technique that you need to do for 5 days after getting Sculptra, and this is because you want to eliminate any granulomas, and that is because the particle weight of Sculptra is much larger. Sculptra can also sometimes be very difficult to place with a cannula because it can block a cannula, and so you have to switch out your cannulas. Whereas with Mayster, you can have a 30 gauge small insulin needle do the injecting, which is awesome. Side note, if you missed last week's TCA acid peel, how to do a 30% TCA peel at home, then go check it out because that series is super helpful if you're considering peeling your skin this year at home. So now we understand what Sculptra is, PLLA, and this idea of Mayster. Last year, I decided to have 4 vials of Sculptra placed in my face by my local facial plastic surgeon, Dr. Rice. Last March 2023, we did 2 vials of Sculptra placed basically here in my temples and then feathered out through my cheeks. Then in May 2023, I went back for another 2 vials. And this is super common. When you do Sculptra, it's not just one session and it's done. You usually need 2 to 3 sessions of Sculptra to really achieve the results you're looking for. So it's a costly thing. 4 vials of Sculptra cost $4,000 here in the state of California. What I've seen online and from different people is that Sculptra can kind of vary from $750 to $1,000 a vial, but a lot of it has to do with where you are and if that clinic is running some kind of special or promo to get you in the door. Because I shared some insight on getting Sculptra last year, so many of you have asked me, like, what's going on with Sculptra? What do you think? So here we are, 1 year out. Let's talk about it. First, I think it's really important to, again, point out that you need a lot of vials of Sculptra to really impact volume. So I'm not happy that Sculptra costs so much money. And 2, as many of you know, I gave myself Ozempic face last year. Many of you saw the video of me using semaglutide last year for about 6 months, and it was amazing at dropping weight and leaning me out. But it does the same thing to your face, hence the term Ozempic face. And my face was super drawn and gaunt. All my fat pads in my face were basically gone. And so any impact that we could have seen from the Sculptra was completely gone because I had lost so much fat in my face and the Sculptra just could not overcome that kind of volume loss. I want to make sure that I point out to you though, that doesn't mean that the PLLA particles that the Sculptra had that were placed in my face are gone. They're still there and I do feel like they're working. I think it would have been a lot worse had I not had those there, but because I lost so much weight, I probably look worse today than I did last year. So one lesson I learned from last year is that you can't have thin thighs and a full face simultaneously. Or can we? So with the expense of Sculptra and the fact that you have to go to a doctor's office to get it, I became highly interested in this product called Mayster PLLA Booster. Perhaps with this Mayster product, I can maintain thin thighs and have a fuller face because 1 vial of Mayster PLLA is only $85. And it's actually cheaper with our in-app promo code. The Mayster PLLA Booster product is considered a mesotherapy product. And the way that I basically understand mesotherapy products is mesotherapy products are products that can brighten your skin because maybe they have glutathione in them, they have vitamins, peptides, stem cells, all of these things that are going to encourage and build our skin, but their molecular weight isn't one that is going to vascularly occlude anything. They're usually not gel-like products. They're usually a very thin viscosity, which means you can place them all over your face with like a tiny little 30 gauge needle and just get that product spread throughout, which is amazing because you do not need to worry about a vascular occlusion or placing too much volume somewhere. If you're not familiar with what a vascular occlusion is, it's basically where you have a gel-like product such as filler and you place it into the skin and in doing so get in the way of a blood vessel. So like a needle can slice into a blood vessel, you pump it full of gel-like product, and all of a sudden that can now, for running blood flow to the skin that it's targeting, is now compromised, and now that skin is going to die. It's called necrosis, now is dead and damaged, and that is a big problem. And although vascular occlusions are rare, they do happen inside and outside offices, so I just want to make sure that we're always talking about vascular occlusions, not to be fearful of them, but to be aware that they are a thing that you have to be mindful of. And with Sculptra or PLLA products in particular, they cannot be dissolved the way that filler can. So for instance, if you get a vascular occlusion with filler, you can dissolve it with hyaluronidase. However, PLLA products cannot be dissolved. So if that large particle gets in the way of a blood vessel, that's a really big issue. And that is the reason Sculptra is placed with a cannula, not with a needle. Here's the Mayster PLLA product that I'm going to use today inside my app. This product comes with 2 vials. The first vial is the PLLA powder. You can see inside the little pellets that you're going to dissolve. These are the pellets of PLLA powder. And the second vial is a liquid. It's an activator. There's 5 milliliters of liquid in the activator and 100 milligrams of PLLA powder. The activator is kind of awesome because it has hyaluronic acid, peptides, and stem cells in it. So between the activator and the PLLA powder, you're getting a lot of amazing things to inject and build your skin with. You combine these 2 products, and then you would let this sit for about 10 minutes until it was completely dissolved. Once it's dissolved, I'll use a thicker thicker needle, like a 23 gauge needle, to basically extract some of the product into a syringe. I use a L Lock syringe so that I can twist off the 23 gauge needle and apply a 30 gauge needle, which is much smaller for injection. If you've never done mesotherapy before, don't worry. I know it seems crazy, but you can handle it. The truth is that you really just need a really good numbing agent because it's painful to prick your face like a billion times. And I'll be numbing up about 45 minutes prior to doing the application in the app. It's also really important to have a lot of the 30 gauge meso needles to switch in and out of your L Lock syringe as you're going. Needles become dull, and so as you inject like 10 times, let's say, you might want to switch that needle off for a sharper needle. So when you watch this video, I've already actually done the application of the Mayster PLLA product inside the app because I'm filming this on Monday. I'm doing the product later in a couple hours in the app. So when you're watching this right now, you can jump inside the app, which is linked down below, and go watch this full procedure. My plan is to use this Mayster PLLA booster product a few times this year to really help encourage growth around my temples and my high cheekbone region. Also, I'm going to be placing it in my upper lip, which is going to be so painful, but hopefully it's going to make a big impact. This is what my face looks like on April 8th, 2024. We got to start somewhere, so we might as well just start here. Don't mind that little bruise on my eye. You can see the hollowness in my temples, which we refer to as peanut head. You can also see that if I heighten the cheekbone area and provide more volume there, it will help lift the bottom area of my face. The protocol for using the Mayster PLLA booster is that you can do it once a month for 3 months consecutively. In my app for the next 3 months, once a month, I will do these injections and we'll just start watching and seeing and just really fixing this whole area so that it looks fuller. Because a rounder face is a more youthful face. Because of the magic of editing, here's what my face looks like after my first Mayster PLLA session. Don't worry, these will settle down, but PLLA products can make you feel kind of inflamed and almost like somebody hit you in the face for the next couple days. So I placed in my temples, along my cheeks, I did in these folds, I did across my lip, and then on this side too. I just woke up, so this is 12 hours after I did the injection. This is a bruise on my eye. It had nothing to do with the injections. Ignore that. So immediately following, there's lots of texture because you get these raised blebs in your skin, but then it's absorbed in. And so you can see by 12 hours later, we're definitely not mottled. And even though I've given myself a lot of little bruise-looking freckles, I will be able to put some BB cream on that and completely cover it, and I'll be totally fine. If you go to a job and you do something like this at night, by the next day, typically, you will be healed up enough to just put on some cover up because most likely you're going to bruise because you're pricking your skin a million times, right? Let's get ready for the day and see what it looks like. So this is what a quick little polish up on top of those marks looks like. You get the idea. You'll look totally normal, super passable, and it should be great. I hope that this video caught you up on my Sculptra experience from last year and what's been going on, what PLLA is, and can this Mayster PLLA boosting product be a great dupe for Sculptra? Stay tuned because later this year we'll do a check-in and see how it's improved. Okay, you guys, that is it. I'll see you guys soon. Bye! 마침표 없는 dream I can't tell falling